Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to do it. And if you already have, let's get started. First clip for today, good old muddy trouble. Stick around, because there's a lot more stuff like this coming up later in the video. So, the rain turned the road into a total nightmare to drive on. But this guy decided to take matters into his own hands. Let's see if he can pull it off. Now, the grader and dozer operators wanted to clear the mud first, but the haul truck driver insisted on trying to get out on his own. Didn't want to waste any time. Maybe it would have been smarter to wait for the machines to clean up the mess first. Or maybe he's actually going to make it. Let's find out. Looks like he's going to make it out without any help, but this is just the beginning. We'll see how the others handle it later in the video. Well, at least he didn't spill the hay out of the trailer.
Oh my lord.
I've seen a lot of crazy stuff on the internet. But a tandem axle truck jumping off a ramp, flying through the air, and landing a perfect slide, man, I ain't ever seen anything like that in my life. We're going to take this chance to tell you one of the most dramatic maritime stories in recent years. The quick story of the Stellar Banner, a massive ore carrier that ended up at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Built in 2016 by Hyundai Heavy Industries in South Korea, the Stellar Banner was a massive, very large ore carrier, about 1,115 feet long and 180 feet wide, sailing under the flag of the Marshall Islands. It was owned by Polaris Shipping, the same company that operated the ill-fated Stellar Daisy. In February 2020, the Stellar Banner left the Vale terminal in Ponta da Madeira, Brazil, carrying nearly 325,000 short tons of iron ore bound for China. Shortly after departure, the captain decided to alter course to avoid strong ocean currents, a decision that turned out to be a costly mistake. The ship struck a shallow area about 62 miles off the Brazilian coast, tearing open its hull and flooding several ballast tanks. To prevent the vessel from sinking completely, the crew deliberately grounded her on a sandbank. Fortunately, all crew members were safely evacuated. Over the following months, Brazilian authorities, Vale, and international salvage teams worked tirelessly to pump out fuel and remove part of the iron ore cargo to minimize environmental damage. But after detailed inspections, it became clear the damage was far too severe to repair. On June 12, 2020, the Stellar Banner was towed into deeper waters for a full damage inspection. The team determined that repairs would cost far more than the ship's value. It was officially declared a total loss. They even calculated how much money could be recovered from scrapping the ship and how much value remained in her cargo. She still held around 165,000 short tons of iron ore, and although most of the fuel was removed, some remained inside her engines. After running the numbers, the company realized that even though the ship was worth a few $1 million, the risk of towing her to port was simply too high. The Stellar Banner was unstable, unsafe, and could break apart at any moment. So the decision was made. She would be scuttled at sea. After all hazardous materials were removed, her ballast tanks were opened, flooding at about 3,300 tons per hour, while her lights were still glowing. The Stellar Banner was intentionally sunk in deep water, about 8,860 feet below the surface, roughly 55 nautical miles off the Brazilian coast. Investigations later confirmed what many suspected. Human error was the main cause. A deviation from the planned route, incomplete depth charts, and poor bridge resource management all contributed to the disaster. The loss of the Stellar Banner, along with her sister ship Stellar Daisy just a few years earlier, raised serious questions about safety practices in operating these massive ore carriers. Now, the Stellar Banner rests deep beneath the Atlantic, a silent reminder of how one single navigational mistake can seal the fate of a 300,000-ton giant. The domino effect. One wrong move can trigger an entire slope to collapse in a matter of seconds. This time, he was lucky. The slope was collapsing slowly, but the dust was so thick it completely covered the excavator. If the entire slope had given way at once, the operator wouldn't have seen a damn thing. Man, that's a rough situation. Just look where that Belaz broke down. I'm not sure if the guy filming this rotated the camera on purpose to make it look that dangerous, or if it's actually that steep. Either way, this driver's got a lot of skill, and balls of steel. A friend's help is always welcome. What you're about to see in the next two clips are probably the two luckiest guys on the planet. If they'd bought a lottery ticket that day, they definitely would have won. At first I thought he was gone, but luckily, those concrete blocks lined up beside him took the hit and saved him. Full throttle downhill. This thing sounds like a straight-up beast.
The situation is very complicated. The best thing for him to do is not to try anything. Just wait for the heavy machinery to arrive.
This is the perfect machine for this kind of messed up situation. Pulling the truck from behind is crazy risky. The driver's got zero control, and that thing's hanging right on the edge of the bridge. One wrong move, and it could tip over and drop straight down. Looks like this might actually work out. They're literally dragging the truck right along the edge of the bridge, and it seems like they're going to pull it out. Now it's up to the driver to check if there's any damage underneath the cab. Listen to this.
Did you guys hear that?
That snap. Doesn't sound good. Usually when you hear that, something bad's about to happen. But hey, let's see what actually goes down. Well, the crane goes down. When she tells you she's home alone. I couldn't believe water could be that powerful. It literally lifted the excavator off the ground. Now you're about to see how a rock ejector actually works. Excavator is desperately trying to pull out this Chetra T20 dozer. With its 81,600 pounds of weight, it's almost impossible to recover it with just one machine. When heavy equipment gets stuck this deep in the mud, it creates a vacuum around itself, making the rescue even harder. That's why 2 more dozers joined in to help, and it looks like they did it. Team spirit always wins in the end. All-wheel drive or 4x4? Tell me, what's the difference? Something's going on over there. Looks like the Balaz stopped right in the middle of the haul road and blocked the way. And as always, everyone had to wait for the bulldozer to show up and push it out of the way. It took about 20 minutes or so. Yep, that's the good old reliable Balaz truck. And, like we promised earlier in the video, the most brutal and powerful burnout. Why's that? Well, because one tire costs $30,000. Multiply that by 4, and you'll see why this one's so damn powerful.
This is what happens when projects are poorly planned, when safety regulations aren't followed, and when no one takes into account the type of soil where the foundation is being dug. Foundations of this scale, for massive skyscrapers, are extremely risky to build. Construction engineers have to keep every single detail in mind. Looks like the engineers slipped up this time. This one's definitely on them. A clear case of poor project planning.
And to wrap things up, we're going to show you just how dangerous and unpredictable a mine can really be. Unstable and loose benches can be extremely risky, and here's a perfect example of that. Sometimes this kind of material can keep sliding for days, slowly coming down bit by bit. But other times, the whole bench can collapse all at once. You never know. That's why you always gotta stay alert and keep an eye on the situation. As long as the material keeps falling onto the road, there's no passing through. Trucks can only move once it stops and the area is safe again. Guess he's gonna clean all that up. Well, the grader, of course. This job's gotta be done fast, smooth, and without any unnecessary stopping. So let's get to it. Well guys, that's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Likes and subs are always appreciated. Until the next one, stay safe out there.